Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner Classics, that's known classics. This is episode number 2190 and Doubleshot number 2084. I have two sci-fi related trades. First up is from DC Comics. We have The Legion of Superheroes, Volume 2, Before the Darkness. Yes, Before Darkness Volume 2. This book collects issues from Legion of Superheroes Volume 2, issues 272 to 283, and there's also a one-shot collecting here, too. It is the DC Special Series number 21, along with Best DC Blue Ribbon Digest number 24. By the way, it covers the years of 1982. Yep. Now, the writers for these issues are the following: Jerry Conway, Roy Thomas, and Paul Levitz. The artwork is done by the late Steve Ditko, Jim Janis, Frank Chiramonte, Bruce Pearson, late Carmen Patino, Jose Garcia Lopez, Dick Juno, Howard Bender, and Ryan Rodriguez. I have met two people who work in this book, Jerry Conway and Luis Garcia Lopez. Great guys. Yep. So, first up we have is the special, which is Paul Levitt's book. It's a Christmas story featuring Superboy making a return here, and he returns a bit later. Don't worry about that. Yeah, it's really short. This story is like really, really short. It is like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. It's only like 11 pages. It is really, actually 12 pages. It's really short. Now, in issue 12, we have Block join the team. He was part of that group from the previous set of issues who were convinced the Legion were villains, but he joined them anyways. Yeah, basically takes on Block. Now, Block himself is part of the group for a little while. Before the Great Darkness starts up, he actually leaves the group. Well, he takes a leave of absence. And for tax purposes, he's kept under the Legion has to be 25 or under to maintain a tax. It's a tax limit. Okay, I explain the whole Block stuff and really fun stuff with Block where you play with kids. Everyone has a problem with him at all. Nope. Yeah, so it seems like a flashback of Superboy, but Superboy is not actually here in these issues. He does return, very strangely. Now in 273. Which, by the way, they call this a 25-page epic. You might be curious to who wrote issue 272. That was... The guy who wrote this one was Jerry Conway. And you might be thinking, though, like, how many issues in a row did he do for this book? Though I've heard from actually asked Conway about these issues, and from what he told me, he was suffering from a bit of burnout working on Legion Superheroes. Yes, as a matter of fact, he actually be here just for a few more issues. He leaves with 278. Yeah, 278 is his last issue he does in the book. And of course, he does with Roy Thomas. Roy Thomas, meanwhile, though, excuse me, he comes on board with issue number, let's see, what issue 277 stays until pretty much 283, so he only skips one issue, 281. Yeah, surprisingly, he skips 281, where that is done by Paul Levitz. That is the only issue not done by either Jerry Conway or Roy Thomas. Now, this issue basically you have Brainiac 5 framed for a crime, and you have apparently like Wildfire acting is his reaction is basically where Brainiac is probably being accused. He's like, this can't be happening. This lady's gone loony. Legionnaires, it pains me to say so, but your own bylaws you must disband. And Wildfire is like, what do you guys with UE Council anyhow? Whose side do you on? Wildfire has got a point. First, the former president embezzled money from our benefactor, Ray Brigade. Then he wouldn't assist us. Then he would assist our plans to rebuild a legion. And now you say we gotta break up? What's with you politicians? Yeah, and by the way, this president is actually Colossal Boy's mom. They get to every own bylaws, and the Legion and her United Earth Council accept them, issue a charter. Therefore, a Legionnaire should not kill. Yet a Legionnaire did kill, remains unpunished. Who? Brainiac 5? Yeah, and this idiot basically as a flashback to a different issue, basically 295. Yeah, and it's like guilt remains. And you have Wildfire. So what kind of kangaroo coup is this? Brainy's never proven guilty. Quite precisely. Legal has not been established, but the evidence is clear. Bulk. What's the use of her? She's right. And of course he hands the custody. Of course, Chameleon Boy basically is like, yeah, and of course Chameleon Boy basically comes up with a solution. So he's like, oh, well, Ultra Boy is like, there's go off and discuss well at headquarters, but I'm mad just to sit around. He goes, I agree with Ultra Boy. Therefore, she has reasons of our times to capture the true culprit Iron Man, huh? Listen, chum, you can buy. Pavgor's advice is good, Ultra Boy. I said you take it and come with me. Explain my pan. Yeah, so basically this whole issue is trying to prove his innocence. Of course, yeah, Colossal Boy basically knew his mom. Yeah, Colossal Boy. And he goes like, oh, come on, Mom. You never complained with me because of before. Look, about this counts me. You only can discuss because at least it's your Legion. Maybe you're not the only who's disappointed with Mom. Forget I asked. In fact, forget me alive. Shit. So basically, you have Chameleon Boy do an investigation to figure out who the true murderer is. And it's a good mystery plot. And it turns out he was framed by a guy who claimed to be Brainiac. Yeah, the guy behind this basically is a guy who claimed to be him, but not really. It's just some guy who's a same alien species. He's basically an android. Pulsar Saga claimed Brainiac 4, but he's not really. Nope, not really. Was this his last appearance, per se, you might ask? Well, he does make one more appearance after this, aside from converting to a zero, in the Legion of Substitute Heroes #1, which I believe is in trade. Yeah, but that was his last special appearance. And of course, he's the one who framed Brainiac for murder. And of course, they fight him. Brainiac 5 does know about this, and of course, they do defeat him by the end of the story. Yeah, the next issue is basically everything that Ultra Boy's dead. Yeah, that's a strange thing with Ultra Boy. It seems like he's always like a central point of a lot of stories. A bit more than the Founders. Oh, by the way, Cosmic Boy is barely playing a role in these stories because he's not a leader of the Legion anymore. Currently, it's Lightning Lad. Yeah, he's been a leader ever since Superboy left. Yeah, Ultra Boy claimed to be dead, but not really. It's really a real like fun stories, and there's a whole subplot here related to, well, Ultra Boy, and it goes on for a few issues. It goes on for pretty much a majority of this trade. Yep. Starts 275, and I think clues around 280. Though I think that 276 seems like a breather. I think it more like it starts out with 274. Yeah, that's what it starts with. I think it concludes around 280 ish. With the whole story of Brainiac 5. And of course, you have the. Then we have a new character named Flecto. Yeah, that's also tied into the Ultra Boy plot. Yes, a storyline about Ultra Boy. Yep, who this person is. Like, we also have a return of this guy, Chain Man. Yeah, he returns in this storyline. Yeah, he makes a brief return in issue 277. You might be thinking, is this his final appearance? No. He basically in this volume here, he appears for until 280, and appears sporadically. This was his first appearance in this book since issue 240, which that came out in 1978, and here we have his next appearance, which in this issue here, 277. And that's roughly about, I think it's like 3 years later. Yeah, roughly 3 years later he returns here. And he returns to this story arc here. Yep. And of course, Lee had to fight him. And of course, it's sort of a. I would say it's still part of the Ultra Boy saga. That's most of what the issues are. And of course, you have Reflecto, who is a new member who joins the team. Who this person is a mystery until about 280. Oh, by the way, they actually find out basically by the end of 279 who Reflecto is. Yep. Of course, the Chain Man getting involved with some stuff like this. I love the fact basically how the story is progressing. I think he's a really cool villain. To me, he doesn't appear very much after this. They have an illusion of his old dead girlfriend got killed off in his second appearance by inmates. And it's revealed that Reflecto is actually Superboy. You're thinking, what? Wasn't he sent back in the past in 259? Yes. And this issue here, he actually kind of rejoins the Legion. He's back with the group for a while. Despite the fact it's not his title anymore. As for how the heck this is possible, they kind of basically do an exploration of how the heck he was able to come to the future, which is strange. And of course, it's mentioned by Saturn Girl that he should not be able to do this. He was given a hypnotic suggestion by Saturn Girl to go back to the past and don't come back. And here he's back, and of course, it's up with the present day stuff. Yeah, apparently this whole thing with him is all caused by the Time Trapper. Yes, the Time Trapper is responsible for this. Yep, and continues on to 281. Yeah, and by 282, we finally wrap up this story. Oh, yeah. We wrap up the story with 282. Yep. And, of course, they find Ultra Boy, and, of course, Lyle Lang per this issue. I'm glad that we finally wrap up this whole thing with the storyline here. And... And of course, basically, like, Ultra Boy thanks him for basically bringing back. Like, next time. Okay, next time, chime on out. That's funny. Let me hear. Somebody interpreted. Remember your parents' death. Who moved with second warrior insect in memory. There are things I don't want to know. And this head the list. If I can't change history, I don't want to know anything until what am I saying? No, I said, boy. Trust me, it was very important. How could a sport something important? Say, but I can't say. Well, I guess I'll go back home and clear my name. See you guys. How do I pull this up? I know. I'll explain the president part of me. Yep, and they wrap it up. And then basically 283, just the backstory, Wildfire. We had I had like a love interest, but she died. But this was a really good story. It's interesting that Roy Thomas did this one. And Roy Thomas didn't create Wildfire, was Jim Shooter. And then we have new costumes for a one-shot issue, which is interesting. And of course, stuff with Colossal Boy's mom being turned to glass. It's a really good side story for the Legion of Superheroes. Yep. But yeah, next comic, 2 videos from now. Next, these digital stuff. I'll be talking about the Great Darkness Saga. Yep. All right. Next up is going to be. Let's close it out there. Oh, by the way, give that trade a 10 out of 10. Next up we have is The Mighty Thor Epic Collection Volume 1 God of Thunder. Excuse me. This collects issues. Journey to Mystery 83 of 109. Now, basically, Linkara did a review of the first issue of this one already. Of course, 83 is the debut of Thor, obviously, along with Odin. Now, we also had a debut of the Rockman from Jupiter. Now, according to Greg Pak, he retconned in this story that one of the Rockmen was Korg. Yes, seriously. He retconned that Rockman from Jupiter was basically a different species. Yeah, I'm not sure why he did this for. It's just kind of weird. Yeah, it's by far a really weird issue per se, but it's one of those first appearances of a character who is not a tragic backstory. And you're thinking, really? It's not? No, not really. And a lot of these stories, sometimes they involve well, basically, we do have some first appearance in here. Like, of course, 83 first appearance of Thor, Mjolnir, Donald Blake. Yes, Donald Blake. And he had this thing for a period of time where he would smash a stick against a rock, or at least the ground, and it becomes Thor. This was common for him for a long period of time until the 70s. They kind of stopped it, and they kind of brought it back. And then we have 84 be just a standalone issue, doesn't really much anything at all. Any debuts issue? Not really, just basically Thor fully off execution. 85, which this cover was actually homaged for an issue of Loki Age of Asgard. I really wish I stopped doing that. Thank you. Yeah, 85 is the debut of Loki, who basically is a regular character in this book. A recurring one, yeah. That's the whole thing with 85, just debut of Loki. Yeah, 2 issues after Thor's debut, we have debut of his iconic brother, Loki. And here's the thing about this guy. By the way, he looks like this is debut, and you might find this interesting. Did you know he managed to maintain this look for years? Yeah, a long time. Until he died for the second time, because first time he got killed when Ragnarok happened at the end of Thor Volume 2, and he got killed again, this time by the Century, and he came back, and it's just an ultra version of him. Yep. And then basically, in the case of issue 86, begins sort of a multi-part story arc in here, kind of the debut of Zarko the Tomorrow Man. Yes, a time traveler who's like a precursor to, of all people, Kang the Conqueror. Yes. Issue number 86 is his debut. And yeah, Stanley and Jack Kirby do the writing artwork respectively. Oh, by the way, I believe it's issue 84 is the debut of Jane Foster. Yep, Jane Foster, who was basically Thor's primary love interest in the 60s. And then the relationship ended when she tried to become a goddess. And then she disappeared for over 30 years before she popped up in Thor Volume 2. Yep. Now, Zarkon Tomorrowman, after this issue, he's now returned again to issue 101. Yeah, which is basically in this very book here. And he does appear for the following issue. And it's not sitting in tomorrow to number 9. Yes. The Tomorrow Man. Yeah. Zarko the Tomorrow Man. Yeah, he only appeared just for 86, 101, 103, and that's it for him during the mystery. He occasionally finds Thor over the years, and if you're curious, his most recent appearance is in You Are Deadpool number 5. Yes, seriously. That's better. This even gets the appearance of this issue by, of all people, General Ross. Now, issue 87 is basically Thor versus the Russians. Because why not? It's a Cold War. Issue 88 is the return of Loki. Issue 89, fighting a guy named Thug Thatcher. Yep. And he's here not very long. He's here for this one issue, and he does not return again to Thor 368, which doesn't come out to Walt Simonson's run. No, I'm not kidding about that. So, but what about issue 90, you might ask? Oh, by the way, they also have this character named Ruby Pierce. Yeah, Ruby. Oh, yeah, Thug's girlfriend. And she is no longer around. Yeah, she turned for a couple more appearances, and then she got killed off during Walt Simonson's run. So you could say it's Thor versus gangsters. And then we have Carbon the Copy Man. And he, oh boy, he appears for several issues of this trade. Oh my gosh, seriously. I remember there was actually one other person that appeared a lot in these issues. They have Thor in issue 291 fighting a sorcerer. Yes, a sorcerer with Loki there. Loki, of course, for this return for issue 92. And I get this. Now, I thought for the longest time that Radioactive Man was an Iron Man villain. No, he fought Thor first, just like Cobra Mr. Hyde. Yep. Also, my friends are here named General Fu, who only appears in this one issue. Also, basically Mount Zani. He only appears a few times. Yeah, after the story, he appeared in Incredible Hulk 105, 108, and one issue Captain America. That was it for him. So you could say it's Thor going to China for an issue. And then in issue 94, fights his brother again, Loki. And then you have a Thor versus a fake Thor. Yep. And then you have Thor versus Mad Merlin. Who, chronologically, this is his first appearance. He actually previously appeared in the pages of Strange Tales. Was the issue came out 2 years after this one. In 97 fights Moto the Lava Man. You think, wait, Moto the Lava Man? Wait, didn't the Avengers fight the Lava Man in the issue of the book? Yes, as a matter of fact, they did. Issue 5. Thinking, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it seems like a lot of the time that the Avengers like fighting their their own villains, like some of people's villains per se. Yep. Then in '98, we have debut of Cobra. Yes, Cobra. Who have this first issue here? That's issue 205. Yep. Cobra, who was later named the King Cobra, probably in order to avoid confusion with Cobra from G.I. Joe. Real name? Jason Voorhees. No, in case you're curious, so it's not playing Jason Voorhees. It's just a very similar name. Oh yeah, he also came one time part of the Serpent Society. Issue 99 of Dreams Ministry is debut of Mr. Hyde, Calvin Zabo. Yep. Who appears this issue and the following issue. And of course, I've already discussed issues 101 and 103 because of Zarko the Tomorrow Man, which I love his stories. Basically, I think he's a really cool character. And after preparing for these three issues here, well, basically in issue 103, we have debut of Amora the Enchantress and Scourge the Executioner in issue 103, who will become long time recurring characters in the Thor comics. As a matter of fact, Scourge in the live-action Thor Ragnarok is played by Carl Urban, who's known for playing 200 characters ever in movies people like him playing for. Dr. McCoy from the J.J. Abrams movie, and also playing Judge Dredd in the film Dredd. Yep. Oh, by the way, he was bald for that film too. Yeah, also Scourge had like an axe too, though he doesn't use it very well. He just using this issue per se. Though strangely, his axe at one point would end up in the hands of a woman in the 90s. No, seriously, it for some reason also ended up in the hands of a Thunderstrike, and this could cause his death in the 90s, which is strange. Yeah, by the way, the woman who basically ended up with, yeah, it was a woman who Thunderstrike was dating in the book. Yeah. As for Mora, here's the strange thing about her. She actually made they have basically a flashback when they told her backstory. She fears out the Fearless number 5. Yeah, basically, Scourge, Loki, and Enchantress fight Thor for the next few issues. Next couple issues. And then you have Cobra and Hyde teaming up. And these two become a permanent pair in the comics for over a decade until Cobra ends their relationship and Mr. Hyde does stuff on his own. Yeah, that's interesting, the fact he does that. He also has a team with the Avengers in this book. Yeah, and then the course continues in 106. And then we have debut of the Grey Gargoyle, who another character I thought was an Iron villain, but no, Grey Gargoyle is a Thor villain. And issue 107 is his debut. They also have backup thing here about Tales of Asgard. I really love that stuff there. There's even appearance here for issue 108 where he fights off Loki again. And the last issue he fights off the brunt of evil mutants, which is strange, the fact that a group of X-Men characters will appear in this book here. So you could say this book is actually, like, here's the thing. So basically this book takes place between issues 6 and 7 of the X-Men. No, seriously. And that's how the book ends, with that date, with that particular fight there. Yeah. First time that a group of villains like the Brunt of Evil Mutants would basically appear in another comic book, not their own. But this epic collection is fantastic. Love it. I give this book a 10 out of 10. And it mostly, like I said, it's just Jack Kirby and Stan Lee doing pretty much all the work here for this one, because it's one of their characters. Of course, we see first appearance also of Heimdall, Bold of the Brave. Like, a lot of characters familiar with Thor in these issues. You might be curious, does the Destroyer appear here? Nope. He appears a bit later. But this is a good start for this particular run, and I can't wait to discuss Volume 2 at some point. Okay, so that's episode review. Next episode is going to be, well, I'm going to go ahead and watch Doctor Who right now, so I get that handled with. And when I get back, I'll do 2 comic corners, okay? Next video. Bye.